Hi, I'm Lukas, and I will share a couple of stories with my hobby, which is hacking people and doing social engineering. So imagine it's a lovely Saturday morning, and imagine your whole customer database just leaked. It would be a PR or in EU GDPR nightmare. And imagine it was as simple as just someone sending an email. So that's basically what I've been doing for the last couple of years. This is just a few services I was able to gain access to at our company. So Facebook, GitHub, LastPass, not nice places to leak information. So why am I doing this? The official version is trying to protect our company. But the truth is I wanted to just hack people, but I didn't want it to end up in jail. So that's why. Just a quick disclaimer, this is not a manual for hacking anyone, it's just to show you how easy it is. So now a couple of stories. First one is gaining access to Facebook account, and that was actually just my first experiment like 3 years ago or something like that. Imagine your colleague sends you an email. Obviously not from email that's even our company. It just Seznam is like local Google in Czech Republic, and the colleague sends you, hey, have you seen this amazing video on Facebook? You click it, you go to Facebook, you put your password in there, and you are screwed. Because obviously I bought the domain facebook-k.cz, nobody noticed, and that was it. So with this, 70% people in our company leaked their password to Facebook account, which is scary. Another story. Do you know LastPass? Yeah, password manager, awesome password manager. Password managers are awesome. And the same thing all over again. Your CEO shares something with you on LastPass. You click it, you accept the share data. You go to a page, your email is even pre-filled, so obviously just the autocomplete in the browser must have failed because there is your email already, so you just put in password and you are done. And with LastPass, I would say it's even worse than Facebook. Facebook is just someone can pretend to be you, but with LastPass, you get a lot of data. So again, login-lastpass.com, that was available for $10. So I just bought the domain, I created a simple page, and that was it. Now to the technical side. I love Python, and I just found some email spoofer Python script. I modified it a little bit, so in command line, I could just launch the script. It personalized the email template, so you thought it's personalized to you, and that's it. From that, I got 10 people, I got access to their master passwords. It meant 210 different passwords to all their online services, 7 internet banking credentials, 10 credit cards. Amazing things. And one of my colleagues, after the attack, he came up to me and he said, hey, wow, I thought that I'm aware of all that stuff, or all the banks in Czech Republic are trying to tell you that, hey, beware of phishing, it can happen to anyone. Yeah, and he wasn't aware. Because when it happens to you, it's something completely different than if you look at it just on a video. Another phishing attack, Slack. Yeah, confirm your email address on Slack, you just click on it, and you know the story. Now, a couple of Python highlights. Another thing I love about Python is how easy it is to do library management. So if you are using some libraries, you just pip install Slack client, and you have a Slack client API, and you can work with it pretty easily. With that, you can download every conversation happening on your company Slack. A lot of personal data, and stuff like that. Again, a lot of fun. This is PsycopG library that's working with PostgreSQL database. And again, I love that if you don't need any fancy ORM like in Django, you can just install a library, and with a couple of lines of code, you can work with the database. Super simple. Or you can work with NLP. So if you want to analyze all your conversations on Slack, you can do that easily. What I've learned when I saw those 200 different passwords is this is a presumption that password requirements mean secure passwords, right? 8 characters long, 1 uppercase letter, 1 number or special symbol. That would mean 3026 times 10 to the 15th, so a lot of passwords. But what if your subject, your user, has a favorite word, let's say weapon, and you tell him you need 1 uppercase letter? Yeah, it will be in the beginning. And if you tell the user that he needs a number or a special symbol, in 95% cases, it's gonna be in the end. So from that huge number, you are down to just 80 billion combinations. And that's not hard to hash and stuff like that. So these are the most common passwords in the world. They're universal, and if your passwords look like that, I would think about changing it. Another story, and that was not a phishing story. So I have a friend who owns a fashion e-shop. They are doing something like 300 million Czech crowns in revenue. That's approximately $15 million, so a bigger e-shop. And I called him one day and I'd asked him if I can play with his e-shop. He said, sure, but we take security pretty seriously, so you will not get anything out of us. One day later, I had admin access to everything, so all the customer data, all the order data, and some nice personal information. How? So this is your step-by-step guide to eShop hacking. Let's find admin panel URL. So I wrote a simple script that just iterated through the most common content management systems. But I could have saved myself a little bit of time, because in the robots.txt there was just disallowed CMS. So yeah. Second step, register for eShop platform demo. So I wanted to know what's the eShop platform and if there are any security issues and stuff like that. So I registered, and there was a cross-site request forgery vulnerability. So if you are not sure what cross-site request forgery means, it means that if you, for example, just open this URL and you are logged in somewhere, it would create an admin user with my password, with my credentials. And to make it even easier, you can just, or I could have sent to the eShop owner email. This image would just load, that would trigger the request, and that would create the admin. But again, I saved myself a little bit of time, because I got those credentials to the platform demo. What if, just what if, they worked in their production environment, and they did. But the only feature that was available was updating articles. So just a WYSIWYG editor, and I could put on the homepage, hey, your website has been hacked by Mr. Big Hacker. But that WYSIWYG editor supported JavaScript. And with JavaScript and with a not HTTP only cookie and just 10 lines of code, you can steal anyone's login cookie. So that was it. All customer data, all orders, addresses, phone numbers, emails, stuff like that. Why I love Python for these attacks? It works pretty well for my secret workflow, and I will now share it with you. I go to Google, I put in the question, Python make unique list, I click on the first answer on Stack Overflow, I copy the line of code that I need, and that's it. Because I'm not a developer by trade, I'm just a product and marketing guy who knows a little bit of Python. So These days, the attacker doesn't have to be sophisticated hardcore hacker like they portray in the movies. Just a couple highlights. I love the syntax. I love the simple setup and deployment of Python. It works for me. I love the support for libraries and other tools like pip for installing libraries, virtual environment to separate your different development environments for each project. Or libraries like requests if you need to keep a session going, or a beautiful soup if you want to parse some HTML and stuff like that. So super easy. And I love that it's universal for different use cases. So web apps, automation, data science stuff, you can use it for almost anything. And this is something I get mostly from marketing and working with conversion rates. So our ultimate goal in user experience is like if you have the steady amount of website traffic and only 18% people register, you need to work on increasing the conversion rate. So you need to make the website better, to make the user experience better, to make content better, and things like that. And I do the exact same thing for my social engineering and hacking stuff. So I start at the end with a goal, with a conversion. I do the recon, I select the right tools, which is obviously Python every time. I do the development and testing, and then live, I execute the attack. I learn on the data that people leak, and if they don't leak it, I just update the page to make it better, to make the user experience better. But it's a little bit a dark user experience. And I believe that for those attacks to be successful, it's a crucial combination of different mindsets and different skill sets. So tech mindset as skill set with marketing and user experience is a killer combination. And with it, you can get 70% people's personal data. And it's about those small details, like you saw, that you click on an email and your email gets pre-filled on the website. We drive on an autopilot. So if you see a Facebook login page, you just enter your credentials. And those are the small details, and you have to know the user's context and things like that. So everything you can take from user experience and marketing, it's great. And like I said, hackers nowadays are not like from movies 10 or 20 years ago with like 20 screens and double hacking and those funny videos on the internet. They can be people like me, so just a product and marketing guy. And to sum up, I would say that the most important thing, at least what we've learned, is common sense. So if you see something and there is a little bit something fishy going on, you should just be careful. And it's better safe than sorry. And I've learned that I need to educate my colleagues, so I hope you will educate your colleagues at your companies. Because you have to be right all the time. For the attacker, he has to gain access just to one account, and you are done as a company. And from the company's point of view, you cannot have even that one leak. Another thing I've learned, it's a lot of fun to screw with people. It's important to deliver 100% user experience, but use it for good, not just for the dark and hacking stuff. And it's not just about secure code, it's mostly about people. And I would love for you to try it yourself and help your colleagues with security. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, any questions? Oops. How many time mostly you spend on creating the fake page using Python tools?
I would say it usually takes Sunday, so like Sunday afternoon, so a couple hours, and that's it.
And how much accounts in common you receive in this way? For example, how much private information you receive during your Sunday?
A lot. But I'm happy that in the last attacks, like the Slack one, I got only 2 accounts out of 80 people. So that's definitely better than getting 70%.
How many time you spent to educate your colleagues? As I understand, you hacked them not once.
Yeah, I do that. I would say I do that every month or every 2 months, something like that. But I'm not trying to have a regular pattern, because then they will know that every month something will happen. So I try to do that irregularly, sometimes on Tuesday, sometimes on Saturday. So they are not aware.
Okay, any questions not from me? Okay, then one more from me. Did you think something about adding machine learning to your hacking processes, just to show page, analyze how the user interact, and make the new version better, not by the hands?
I have think about that, but I have a small sample size, so I cannot train a neural network to work on like five data points. But I've thought about it. Might be a future.
Okay, maybe. Oh, yeah.
Hi, thanks for your awesome talk. I have a small question about the law side of this thing. Do you have any kind of written permission or just verbal permission, or do you need it?
We have it in our employees' contract, and as a lawyer, there is one statement, and as a lawyer you can interpret it that we can do stuff like that. But it doesn't directly says like you will be hacked every month. But
at least.
But it's in the contract for me to be able to do that. Otherwise, it would be illegal, and I would end up, like I said in the beginning, and I don't want to end up in jail. So,
thank you.
Thank you. English not my native language, but I try to say my question. Как я понял, он делает фейковые страницы, как он заставляет пользователей поверить в то, что это действительно та самая страница.
It's okay. The question is, as he understands, you make the fake pages. Can you say a little bit more about mechanism you're using to make people believe that they are on the real page?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I go back, and Google is getting my job harder, because where's that thing? Yeah, at the time of the first attacks, this secure sign was even green, so it's not anymore in Google Chrome, but previously it was secure, so that's one thing. People just notice it's secure and it's okay, right? If there is a lock and green background, then the URL has to look like something like login-lastpass. They could have that URL, so it has to be familiar. And then the pre-filling the information. So if you click as a user and your email gets pre-filled, you dissolve all your barriers. You are just like, yeah, sure, I will just enter my password and that's it. So for these pages to work, it's the URL, the secure sign, and then the experience. So they don't notice that there is something fishy going on. If that answers your question.
I remember the question I had. Most of the modern email managers have the phishing prevention function. How it works with your experiments?
I think it doesn't work. That was the first one, yes. Facebook.com. This is the like real URL, but the link is actually going to my page.
Oh.
And I believe that only Mozilla Thunderbird showed people that, hey, beware that the link you are clicking on is something different than you can see on the screen. But Gmail and other clients, they don't do that. So.
Oh, interesting. Do we have somebody from the Google on the conference? I'm very disappointed. Any questions? More? Yeah.
Hello, thank you. Can you say something about different types of attacks? For example, SQL injections. Have you tried it?
Sorry?
Yeah, the question is more. It's more about the hacking, in the technical hacking. But we will have another speech about the technical part of hacking. It's a social part when you're just bringing the. Yeah, the question was about the SQL injections.
Yeah.
But as I understand, you don't use stuff like this. You are playing with the people's brain, not the servers.
Yeah, just that eShop example, that was more about technical hacking than social engineering. They didn't have SQL injection vulnerability. But other, I don't do just fake pages and stuff like that. I play, for example, with dropping USB sticks in front of the office and things like that also.
And a little more about USB sticks and what you are doing with them.
Yeah, so I had two experiments. First one was I wrote a custom malware for Mac. So people got the USB drive and they were like, oh, someone lost the USB drive. I have to find whose it is. They plug it into the computer and they saw it was like USB Catherine, so just a woman's name. I downloaded some random photos on internet, some girls partying. And then I created something that was named My Video, and it had a QuickTime Player icon, but it was actually my application and not a video. And it copied itself to the user's computer. It added itself to the applications to launch after the computer launches. And that's like 2 years ago, a Mac had a 0-day vulnerability. So you could gain root access without the user inputting the password. So I would just load one dynamic library and I got everything. And it installed a keylogger. So I had a real-time keylogger transferring all the keystrokes to a Firebase database. So when they launched it, video started playing and they didn't even know that there is something bad going on. And then I came up to them with my computer and they were like typing and shit, why is this showing on your computer? I'm typing it on my computer. So that was one thing. And another with a USB drive. It wasn't actually a USB drive. If you know, it's called rubber ducky. It looks like a USB drive, but it emulates a keyboard. So as you know, it's plug and play keyboard, so you don't have to install some drivers or anything like that. And rubber ducky basically follows your instructions, so you tell it what to type. And I just wrote a script that, for example, from our chief risk officer, it took all Excel files, uploaded it to my FTP server, and it did that just by plugging in the USB stick. So another.
That's crazy. How many people was catched by this 2 USB sticks?
The first one, I think 4, probably. And I was like, I literally dropped it on the street in front of the office. So I was just hidden behind the car to see if it's really my colleagues picking up the USB drives, not to attack anyone else.
Crazy. 4. And how many colleagues do you have?
Right now it's around 70 to 80.
So it's quite high percentage.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's fortunately that's like 3 years ago or 2 years ago. So from that, I hope we are doing better.
And the second one?
The second one, that was just 1.
Okay. And it wasn't you.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so what kind of policy do you have for people who fail the test repeatedly? Do you have some policy, some warnings or something like that?
Yeah, unfortunately we had to introduce that. So basically you have 3 strikes.
And do you have some numbers after introducing the policy, how effective it was? How much do you actually monitor the progress of that?
We don't do that systematically. It's just in every attack you see who is vulnerable, and it's usually new people. So even if you give them like the security presentation and you show them all the examples, they just have to go through it for the first time. And when you gain access to their accounts for the first time, it's usually in 99.9% cases doesn't happen again. So it's just one-time experience and then they're okay.
Have you tried to have some technological solution to this problem? Because every time you hire somebody, they seem to be vulnerable. So maybe try to prevent it before it happens.
Yeah, we have that, but it doesn't work in 100% cases. So there are always ways to phish people, and what can be phished will be phished. It's like two-factor authentication. So we have, for example, two-factor authentication to every place. But people wrote me even the security code. So, for example, Google, you log in and you get a text message on your phone, and people retype that code to my page because I was triggering the request to authenticate as them in the background, and they retype even the two-factor authentication code. So.
I've started to scare.
Thank you. What about one password tool? Is it secure? What can you say about it? Should I use it?
1Password?
Yes.
I love 1Password. I'm a LastPass user, but 1Password is also great for me because you have a random password for every site. So obviously your master password cannot be leaked, then you are screwed. But yeah, 1Password for me same as LastPassword. Funny story with a LastPassword, because I was applying for a visa to Russia, and you create a password, and on the embassy they needed that password to update the application, and my password was like 32 characters long, and I had to write it on a post-it note to the guy at the embassy to retype that password.
They really asked you to give them your password?
Yeah.
Wow.
But just to the visa application, so yeah. Nothing else.
Okay. It's a kind of new technology for Russia.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a scary experience because
You were hacked.
because at the end the guy was like, Mr. Lukas, and I hope you will bring us from Russia. And I started to shake because I thought that he's gonna ask me to, I don't know, bring some drugs or something. But he ended the sentence like, only the great experiences from Russia.
Yeah, I was going to say that maybe he was trying social engineering.
And he did it successfully.
Yeah, because he wrote your long password, and it didn't help that it was very long. More questions, maybe? Okay then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.